the honeybees stop surviving because they're having a huge colony collapse all the time, this is what we're going to have to rely on, is these little guys to pollinate everything. So if we put something like this, isn't this beautiful? And you could still have your herbs. I mean, I put herbs in here as well, but you can still have all your flowers in here. You can put your hollyhock. You can put all these different kinds of flowers in here to beautify the outside of your garden. Look, I even have some hairy vetch growing up there, coming back. You've got your beautiful raspberries. Look at how big they love to grow in the shade right here. People say they like the sun. They dry in the sun. But look at this. Aren't those the most gorgeous?
They're pretty.
Aren't they beautiful? I just love them. And when you walk in here, okay, now wait, we forgot to test out. Thanks, David. Yeah, we'll put them in the shade and let them get a break. So here we are, but we're in the morning, so it's only 84 degrees here. Okay, you guys. Whoops. I want to keep my thermometer here. Let me make sure. Actually, it might actually stay. No, we better put it in here like this. I don't want to lose it because I want to show people the temperature today. And these are your beautiful 6 for $1 little marigolds I added for some color because I was trying to find some color here to add to this. Here I have, these were 2 plants I bought of yours, of the hyacinth. Yep. And they just finished blooming, unfortunately, or we would have had some pretty flowers today. And then I had all these specialty lilies of all different colors and the crepe looking leaf ones and just gorgeous lilies in here, but they're done. All the tiger lilies are done. So we need flowers like the Rebecca and the sunflower to continue the flowering in here. This is Grant's, when he closed the nursery, little weeping crabapple. And it got hit, like I told you, this year. All the leaves were drying out. We cut back. I had a chelated iron. You know, Pendleton Designs used to have Progressive Nursery. Steve Pendleton, 45 years. He knows trees. He came and toured this just like Grant. So he gave me some ideas of the chelated iron. We did that. I watered it like crazy. It stopped drying out. It started to come back. And then see what happens. I planted a grapevine that I thought would just grow up it. The grapevine grows right over the top of it. So it protected it as well from the heat. And then these are shade. Before these canopy trees, like this is a white willow that we love, growth hormone, pain reliever, quick growing shade. He's only 6 years old. We use sunchokes and sunflowers for quick shade. So all these little plants, as they start to grow up, they're getting some relief from the heat. And then I use cover crop as a living mulch as well as straw and leaves, and that holds moisture in the ground. So we just water just a little bit right now. David gave them a little water. They're going to make it through a hot day. Look at our beautiful little garter snakes. We got carrots, we've got calendula. I've got a little garden snake in there. He's the teenager. So cool. We got 3 generations of them. They're little ones that sit on the leaves as well. We've got calendula. We got this one is valerian root. We've got the nasturtiums there. We've got dandelions that come back every year. Believe it or not, I keep dandelions, Ryan. Isn't it fun to see what you can actually do? And then David, as one of our classes, put in a guild. So what it is, do you want to explain a little bit what's in here, David, to Ryan?
The locust in there, and then what was this? This was an apricot?
So that one is actually a berry bush, and he is a Nan King cherry, a cranberry over there that did not like the sun in the beginning, so we were giving him some extra shade. Then what did you put into the basins that you leveled for the water to sit in?
Oh, it was a lentil, buckwheat.
We did buckwheat and lentil, so a nitrogen and a carb, and then you also did what to add life to the soil?
The inoculant.
Exactly, a bacteria. And because these are mostly fungal loving trees and shrubs, we do higher of fungal than bacteria in the inoculant. And then that's your living mulch. And then we put some other mulch. We used actually the dead leaves. It makes a great mulch. These dried dead leaves are softer even than straw. So we use this as the mulch around the bottom of each of the plants and the cover crops so they didn't evaporate as quickly till the cover crops start to create that carpet to hold the moisture in. And then we have mineral accumulating comfrey. We have some different nitrogen fixers, Siberian pea shrub. This is a honey locust that will grow and create some shade over them right here. And so what he's doing is he's designing a guild, like layers of the forest, to live together. That's what he created right here.
What is this one here?
That is a beautiful gladiola. Okay, so you guys just keep on putting the flowers out there for me. Where have we got them?
I took all the ones from out there.
Okay, wonderful. Can you lay them instead of blocking the way here, the way they were, Malachi?
Yeah.
I can't see anything here. We can't block. I want to show them. Can you help me?
Yeah, I got
Thank you, guys. Let's put those flowers back in here. See, they still have some flowers alive, but turn it around so you're not blocking everything. Put the flowers facing this way. There you go, hun. Because we're going to show these plants in here. Turn it around so they're not blocking the plants. There you go. Okay, there. Because I want to show them what's in here. So we just watered, so they're going to be laying down, unfortunately. That's come back at least 4 years. That dandelion, Tasha Nelson, our master herbalist, gets so excited to see that. You eat the flowers, you eat the leaves, but the roots are helping your kidneys and liver. So that's why dandelions are so valuable to people and stuff. I've got a wild New Zealand spinach there. Can we turn this one around too, please, Tom? And then in here, we got the cover crop around the vegetable plants. The lettuces have bolted, but I still have some mustard greens. I have some sorrel still alive in here. You can't do that in the hot sun. But they only need 4 hours of filtered light through here. And then you cut out the sunchokes if you want more light. But you can grow everything in here. So tomatoes, we planted them very late this year. I didn't have the manpower to help me put them in. So they sat in pots in the middle right there for the longest time. But you'll see there's some tomatoes producing now. And so we'll have a longer season. But these will insulate even into the first freeze. It actually insulates so everybody doesn't freeze. And this is a mulberry. And then we've got understories of other plants under here. We love to put all kinds of inoculant to help the life in the soil. But what we did is we found that even after the first year of putting in wood chips that we put on the walkways, we were able to start growing healthy soil. We had fungi, we had all sorts of worms started to come, the arthropods, and eventually we saw that there was bacteria and protozoa in here developing in the soil. So we never till this soil. We used the soil that was under here. We created trenches of our water systems catching off the roof into a pipe into these level swales that literally flow through here on contour. So we make sure the water flows level all through here from that catchment off the roof there. And I'll show you up above how we catch from the back roof that's bigger. But come on through here so you can see we've got grapevines. You saw the beautiful fig tree right over here. He's about 3 years old. That little fig guy right there. Isn't that beautiful? It's really amazing. And they come back every year because they're really happy in this environment. The grapes are amazing. These are originally from Vineyard. When they used to have the sales like you, we've got Niagara grapes in there. So they're all growing all through here. This is a native to Utah. It's called a Padawan Plum. This is a wild. He's got thorns, but he's got these little baby plums, and this is his first year. We'll get to taste what a Padawan plum tastes like. But he's a native to Utah heirloom tree. And then I'm going to surprise you in here because Polynesians think you can only grow, and see all the grapes growing through the tree. Polynesians think you can only grow taro root and turmeric and ginger in the Polynesian islands. We're growing them here because we're creating a moisture environment in here. We just sprayed a little water in the morning, gets them through the day. That's all they need. The moisture is so strong underneath that the roots are just fine. We just don't want them to wilt. Okay, and so you've got taro root here. All these little baby taros are coming up all throughout the garden. Our lettuce, you can see now, is finally bolting. So we stopped taking leaves off of that. This was our Nan King cherry. That was one of the first ones that we got to eat this year. Those beautiful, sweet Nan King cherries. So we love those. And they seem to do very well, though they grew in the mountains of China. So they're hardy to the winter. So we really love the Nan King cherry. On the west side, there's Brianna. Welcome, girl. Welcome, welcome. So on the west side, the first year I realized we were cooking so much at the end of the day. So I decided to create a wall of shade, sunchokes. And they help. But whatever I don't need, I cut out for the summer. But I can dig this up. Have you ever eaten a sunchoke?
I have.
I love them because they're healthier, but you can dig them out all winter fresh. You don't have to store them like root crops.
Yeah,
you keep them in the ground. They don't freeze. It's beautiful. So more of the greens here. We've got some chard in there. These are my favorite over here. I'm trying to grow them so they'll get big enough, Ryan, because these are supposed to be perennial greens. If I can get sorrel to come back strong, it'll come back every year. And that's a perennial green. Instead of waiting for all the other greens that are fragile, these sorrels are going to do so much better. I just got to keep them strong. The kale grows beautifully in here. So we got everybody here. We got David, we got Malachi, we got Brianna and Tom. And our special VIP guest is Ryan from Cook's Nursery, you guys. The other thing that's late this year because of the heat is all the sweet potatoes. Those kind, as well as these kind here. These took forever to come out of the ground, but now they're starting to spread. So on top of your cover crop that I'll harvest the flax right here and some of the buckwheat there and the lentils and the beans that are growing, this is a good ground cover. In Australia, they use this a lot, the sweet potato, but theirs grow really huge and fast because they're in the tropics. But usually this would be all covered with ground cover of the sweet potato, but this year they're late. And into that, I put oregano, I've got peppermints under here. All these different plants are growing beautifully in here, and they love the filtered light. So remember, outside it was 86? In here it is 72. So that's the difference between the temperatures inside this environment of microclimate and outside in the hot sun. And I'd rather have this, and so do the plants. That's why they're so lush and green, and they're happy in here. Look at the grapes under there, and then see right there, I've got a couple of the thornless blackberries. The blackberries do much better inside here, but they fry outside, they dry out. The blackberries really dry it out there, and some years I've had blackberries this big that are thornless. And they do better inside with the grapevines than they would outside. On Grant's farm, he's got a whole row of them, and they dry out every summer because they just can't take that heat. It's really, really hard. So what do you think of being under this? I had your dad, I had Samantha McCord, and I had Grant in here listening to Sean Miller, who's trying to save all the open spaces with designated easements of permanent agriculture so developers won't steal their land. So I had them all sitting under here and here. Your little dad come and ducked under here. It was so fun. But it's just amazing to feel this. It's so beautiful. Oh, here's Chad and Mary. Did you guys sign up with her? Beautiful. You can join in on our tour here. That's wonderful, you guys. Do you guys ever go down to Cook's Nursery? Yeah. Ryan's right here. This is the man. Even though he has a mom and dad who started the business 50 plus years ago, and he has a whole bunch of brothers and then a younger sister, Trina. Ryan's the one that I've known the longest down there. And I know Brett. I see him at the farmer's market in Salt Lake all the time. But
dig up the potatoes?
So you can. My garden, you guys, is not for me to eat. Yes, when I get tons of fruit, of course I'm going to make jam and everything else and syrups and all that. But this is a demonstration garden. This is for my students who come here with their properties to learn what's possible. How do you do it? This is what we practice. Like you saw David did that little guild. This is for them to practice, and this is to show. So even though, yep, I did enjoy some of my wonderful Nan King Cherries in May because they were so delicious, most of this is to show people how it works, what you can do, how these things all grow in layers like a forest, okay? And how much food then you can actually put into such a small space. I've got 63 fruit and nut trees and 35 kinds of berry bushes in here, as well as all the root crops, all the perennial crops, and then add your summer vegetables into it. My beets are doing really well still. I like to eat them more instead of digging the root. I like to eat the greens and juice them because then you keep the plant going. Same thing like the sorrel. And they reseed themselves, which is really nice. And so you can have them keep coming back by just reseeding in here. The sweet potatoes and the potatoes, they've come back. All these little potato plants, that's our second crop. That was our first crop. They're all spreading potatoes under here, tons of them. And so you've got all these layers of food in a forest. From the grapevines, you guys see the grapes all up in there? All through the forest, you could see grapes growing up all through the tree like this, everywhere. Isn't that beautiful? And so I love being in here, you guys. This is my little haven. And we tested the temperature outside, it was 86. And in here we just looked, it was 72. So there's such a difference. And that's why the plants, he hardly watered, he just sprinkled them. And they're good for the day. So we're saving 2/3 of what the irrigation system would do. It wasted water. I had a $350 water bill 2 summers ago when we put in the irrigation drip system on a timer. I shut it off after $1,200. I was like, I'm never using that again. I'm going back to watering by hand a little bit every day, a little shower, because that's what happens in nature too. But then you've got to have the layers of the forest to hold the moisture in. They only need 4 hours of light. And then you've got to have the mulch, like in the forest. It drops all its leaves, and that holds the moisture in the ground. And that's why you're going to see some of the biggest, beautiful natural mushrooms in this forest up there. But you're holding that moisture in from evaporating. We're in the desert. We're cooking. So are the plants. But this way, you can grow so much more and grow it for a long period of time. And so I'm eating things from very early in May on through November. I'm still eating goji berries in November now. It's amazing how you stretch out your food this way. So now we're going to go up into the main part, what we call the Zone 2. This is our Zone 1 kitchen garden, where I come out more often in the summer with vegetable plants and everything. But then the other one, you don't need as often to go out to it. So out there are more of my fruit trees, my other berry bushes. What's that? So these are called sunchokes, Chad. And we actually use them as what's called quick growing shade, as well as food all winter long you can dig out. They're tubers like potatoes. They taste better and they're better for you than potatoes. But they're a root crop. But I decided to use sunflowers and sunchokes. You can go through here and just step over the little carrot that decided to grow in the pathway. We decided to use sunchokes because they grow straight up and they'll keep my plants from freezing the first frost. So food will stay alive in there while everything else will hard freeze. So now we're going to enter Zone 2, which is the kitchen garden. Come on this way, Ryan. This is what's called the kitchen garden. As you can see, we have mints. Oh, go ahead, Ryan. I want you to come and see. This is like so exciting to have him finally show up. I have been inviting Ryan. He's given me flowers and plants, and I know his family, and I just treasure them, and I want to keep them around, so keep shopping at Cook's Nursery, you guys. But what I am so excited is for Ryan to see this, because this is so not what we're taught in gardening or farming. This is so the opposite, isn't it, Ryan? It really is. We're taught this can't happen. You can't do this. But why wouldn't you want beautiful plants that attract all the native bees and the honeybees and berries of different kinds that have been living here in Utah forever that were used by Native Americans as food? This was food, these sumac berries. And remember when some of them died and dried up in here? Look at the new growth, Ryan. Isn't that beautiful? They're getting new berries. We thought they were gone. This guy's hardy. He doesn't need much water. He doesn't want much water. Here we got a whole bunch of going crazy catnip over here. And then what my my master herbalist, who loves to come in here and do nature walks and film in here, she sees these monster herb plants, which some people call weeds. Your burdock, your red dock. Okay, but that's medicine for the liver and kidneys that boost your liver and cleans it out. So this is very important to have this. So this specimen that's so happy here and growing so beautifully with his purple flowers, she got so excited to see this. Mulleins that are monster mulleins that she's never seen before. I've got a fennel. Come this way. I'm going to introduce you to what we did in this part. Over there we just put wood chips down, covered it, and then built and designed the kitchen garden. In here, this is different, okay? This is what's called hugelkultur. So what hugel beds are, we basically dig down with a backhoe 3 feet down where we can hold water. And we have our beautiful Musica Antigua. My friend Penny, for her 3rd year in a row, is playing for us at our open house. So you guys just stand right here, come in the shade, and I'll introduce you what we did here. These are 6-year-old hugel beds, buried logs in the ground, speed up the decomposition because the forest takes a lot longer to decompose their trees. We put compost or manure on top of ours. Then we add other organic material and build it up. That created worms, mushrooms, holds moisture because the tree trunks become sponges of retaining water. And then they bring the fungi and everything else as they decompose. Then all the life in the soil starts to develop in these hugel beds. So these are 6-year-old hugel beds that have been here that long. A Boy Scout troop 2 years ago dug this one up, buried logs in the ground with his scout troop for his eagle badge. And so now we're growing. We have a Padawan native plum tree here. We have Brother Lynn Waite's peach tree back here. This is our cover crop of buckwheat that now you can harvest. There's your buckwheat seeds. And then we chop and drop in the fall the plants into the ground to feed the microbes in there, the carbohydrates. We also have beans that you can see grow beautifully up these trees and everything. We just let nature do what it does naturally. And that will be the nitrogen, the beans. We've got berry bushes back in there of different kinds. And this is a guild. I also put sunchokes on the west side because I want to have shade. Till these trees get big enough, they want some shade here. In fact, can I have Malachi and Tom? You know, no, you just go. I think you can get it.
Yeah.
Go grab me another umbrella and set it up for Penny. The sun's starting to get to her.
Okay.
Thank you, Malachi. Oh, it's beautiful to hear. It's so beautiful to hear. We have our beehive back there. They're cornelian little bees. And last year, our bees produced 7.5 gallons a month average of honey. And because you've got so much flavor of pollen and nectar in here, you should see the taste of that honey. It's amazing. They don't need to go far away. They got more food in here than they need. So this is a baby little Hogabed here, 2 years old. These are older ones. But you see what happens to your little tiny herbs? They start to grow monsters. Nobody's ever seen comfreys and fennel and lovage right there that was falling over. My beautiful elderberries. We're going to make elderberry syrup this year. Everybody's buying that out like crazy with COVID-19. We want to boost our immune system, elderberry. But boy, you guys, we're going to taste some today that are blue elderberry that are growing in the back. That is 10-year-old. I'm going to have you taste these blue elderberries. They're so delicious. And you'll see why it's so high in nutrients. All these berries, especially the blackberries, raspberries, and all those, they're high in vitamin C. This was the tree that was hit the hardest, Ryan. I lost 3/4 of it, had to cut out. Black like this. Okay? And my Danjou pear is doing this. So we're still having something. We haven't figured out exactly what it is yet, but we're still looking to figure it out. But see how I love using the shade of the sunchokes? Come in here where I'm going to show you a really good microclimate where it's really cool.
So the garage.
This one's still very young, so it's still sunny. You need to go through the front.
house?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, hun.
No problem.
I appreciate it, Malachi.
No problem.
So, like I said, we have 35 kinds of berries in here. We had Nan King Cherry, Sumac. We have a Jojoba berry right under here, but he's still a baby that we added recently. That's Jojoba berry. And don't let the burdock grab your hair. Burdock won't let go of your hair. We have more grapes growing through. This cherry tree was so loaded this year. Being cherry right there. Under him, he has a snowberry that in December had beautiful white little berries. We've got carpets of mint because the shade of the trellis of grapevines is creating this beautiful shady area. We put in some lilies in there. There's our comfrey that gives minerals to the tree. And there's another berry coming on both sides. That was our Josta Berry, which is a cross of a blackcurrant and a gooseberry. And then the Goji Berries coming over the top. So I made a whole bunch of syrup this year with my honey and just those berries to die for. I'll have you taste some of that real fast at the end of the tour. And then this is what's called a Goji Berry right here. Had little red berries under there. He's about 2 years old. And then these are all, when you wonder what all these little pods are, those are Daikon Radish. So we reseed it, but we collect all the seeds. But when they're really little and they're starting to grow brand new, when they're brand new and they're really little, that's when they're the tenderest. That's when you want to eat your little pods of these little Daikon radish. I don't dig out the radish, I just eat the pods because you don't need to. So pass these around and just taste that because it's all you need. You don't need to have. Grab the little tiny one. The tiniest will be the most tender. Doesn't it taste like a little radish? Yeah. Are you joining the tour?
Wait a minute. Yeah, I don't want to get... I'll let you guys do your thing.
No, I want you to come film it. Come join us. What's your name?
My name's Randy at Channel 2.
Hey, Randy, welcome. We're so happy to have you. Come on and join us. So got everybody safe and sound here with their masks, so we're doing good. Okay, just keep your masks on. It's going to get cooler in here, okay? Then everybody's heard of white currants, red currants, golden currants, and black currants, okay? The Weeks family in Paradise has 8 kinds of berries, loads of them. I mean, they buy 5,000 plants, and they grow tons. It grows really well in the mountains of Paradise, up above Ogden. But I bought these from the Reclamation Nursery, and the other normal currants will get about that size. That's an average normal size of a currant, right, Ryan? Okay, look at the size of these. Every year I get these monster size little currants everywhere. And this is another bush of it, and I'm getting those big ones as well on there. Look at that. Look at the size of these, okay? They're just humongous. So I'm amazed. I think it's the living soil and the environment we're creating in here that's creating larger berries. We had thornless blackberries this big, and they were really juicy and sweet. So when you're keeping the moisture, you've got all that life in the soil of the fungi, the bacteria, the protozoa, the nematodes. Everybody's feeding these guys. As everything decomposes, because you leave everything here, it's all fertilizer, they're feeding these plants, and you're getting higher nutrient dense. So I have a spectrometer inside called the Brix test, and my apricots this year tested at a 16. So when you're growing life in your property, you're creating living soil in there, you don't disturb it, you don't ever spray anything on it or nothing, you get the most nutrient dense food you could ever get on the planet. It's all safe, it's healthy, it's absolutely wonderful.
Do you want me to film you, Denise?
Oh, it's okay. I think, but I appreciate you offering, sweetie. And then the other thing is I've already chopped and dropped my minerals. So what I'll do is I'll take a leaf like this, usually from the bottom. This is my insect distractor because I don't want them to eat. And I have grasshoppers in here, but I balance them out. I don't kill a thing. In nature, every link in the chain of life is important, so you don't kill anything. You don't kill the bugs. You guys want to come over here where it's more shady? You guys stay over there where it's shady. I just don't want you guys standing in the hot sun if you don't have to. We got nice shade. So what we do is we use this plant, which is so high in minerals. It's called a bone binder in herbal medicine. This is your comfrey, okay? They use the root. Dr. Christopher's formulas, they have the root. They use the leaves. And the flowers attract the beautiful bumblebees. They're beautiful. I'll show you some over there because these are just done blooming. But they're purple little flowers like this. And they want to get the nectar up inside of there. So you see all the bumblebees will come to this. And when you want to taste something amazing and sweet before they open up, you just suck the end of that, and it's the sweetest little nectar in the world. Now you know why bumblebees love those. But besides being great food of minerals, which I will give to my Danjou pear tree, that will decompose, and that's minerals. It's high in minerals. That's why the grasshoppers and the slugs are going to eat. I have more of this than I know what to do with. So they rather eat something nutrient dense than something like a vegetable that's nutrient deficient. They want something good. So I have so much of it that I don't care if they make little holes. I'm using it for food, okay? And I chop and drop it 3 or 4 times a year, and it grows back this huge. And most herbalists will come through here, and I've had some that were like this big of leaves, and they couldn't believe. They're like, how the heck did you ever grow such large comfrey? I've never seen such large comfrey. The other thing I want to ask Ryan, what is a normal growth of a new branch on a fruit tree? About 2 feet, 3 feet?
So peach you can get 2 or 3, and apples more like a foot or 2 on them.
So my 45-year expert, Pendleton Progressive Nursery, Pendleton Designs, stood here a couple years ago and said, wait a second, you're getting 5 feet of new growth on your fruit trees. That's impossible. Well, obviously it's not, you know, because we're getting it. And I forgot to show you behind Penny over there, we have 5-year-old been producing almonds and walnuts for the last 6 years on these trees back there. Yeah, we've got a white mulberry back there that had loads of mulberry this year. We have tons and tons. It's amazing how much food there is in here and how fast everything grows because of the environment we're creating. We're creating living soil. We're creating what nature does naturally, layers of a forest. That's the most important thing that you're creating here. And you can feel, you can see, look at all these little tiny miniature little bees on there that just flew around right there. These are bees. Believe it or not, those little tiny things right there are the tiniest native bee you've ever seen in your life. We've got nasturtiums everywhere. People think these are bug detractors too, but these are edible. You can eat the flower, you can eat the leaves of nasturtiums.
You set a bumblebee right here, right on cue as you were talking
Right
about
on cue. Oh, it's so fun. You need to come and film the bumblebees. But what I love is the beauty, the coolness, the moisture retention. What I love in here. Come this way, Ryan. I want to show you over here. They were over here on the nasturtium flowers. We'll point them out for you, Jeff. And look at the size of these almonds that are just starting to open right now, you guys. Aren't those beautiful? Look at these gorgeous almonds. We have 3 kinds of almonds. We have Hall's Hardy, all-in-one sweet that are really large, and then we have bushes called Russian dwarf almond trees in here as well. So we have lots and lots of almonds.
I didn't get to see the almond.
Oh yes, my friend. Look at that sucker.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that beautiful?
Okay.
They blend in with the leaves.
They do.
Well,
And this year the frost hit it or we'd have a lot more.
Okay.
This is a native to Utah, another berry, because we have 35 kinds of berries. These are called buffalo berries. These little red things. We don't have many left on them, so we're just leaving them there, praying they don't get eaten so we can show everybody what a buffalo berry looks like. And now you're gonna walk through a whole row of beautiful sage and mints that the bees are loving right now because they're all flowering, along with a second set of raspberries coming up. Everything grows together. The grapevines do great shade for the other plants because, as you can see, sometimes the berries really cook in the hot sun here. So we don't want them to cook too much. Now, feel how hot it is right there in the sun, you guys. Everybody note that. Now come in here. This is my little rainforest. Come on in, everybody. Come, Ryan. That's our little rainforest in here. Come this way. Have everybody stay right here. Don't go too far, Mary. Come on in here, Jeff and Ryan. So, like I told you, when these trees get big to canopy size, I planted this apricot, which is the hugest, sweetest, most delicious apricot, real big like this. I had 1,000+ apricots on this last year. This year, hard frost, 40, but they were the most perfect, delicious apricots we've ever had. This apricot tree I planted from a pit 15 years ago. Look at the canopy that he's doing, a filtered light that is creating this effect in here. This rainforest effect is amazing. It's cool, it's moist, and I can grow all sorts of tropical things in here, you guys, including currants, the fruit trees. Here we have a golden currant plant. Now something tragic happened, and you might want to hear this, Jeff. Our neighborhood preservation, it's not his fault. The Council of Orem decided that if you have your plants growing even 2 or 3 inches over the sidewalk, they need to be cut back, tied back, or moved. Well, these are 6-year-old sea buckthorn berry. They are the most rare, the most nutrient-dense berry on the planet. They have omega-7. They have 190 different components in it. And he asked me to remove them because they grew up to the edge of the sidewalk and they were growing over the sidewalk, though I was tying them back. And I said, I'll probably kill them. Each bush is worth over $300. I killed 5 of them because I had to move them because of a city ordinance of somebody deciding can't be so many inches over the sidewalk. But the loss is sad. You can't even put a price on the value of these berries. That's what's so sad. And so you'll see them here. We tried to save them the other night. Malachi was here. We really tried to save these, but they are dying. And I've put them in the most moist, away from the sun I could. I'm watering them every day to keep their roots alive, but they didn't want to be transplanted that old. And so unfortunately we lost them.
Every time I squat down like this, I don't know if it's the soil or whatever it is, but I've done this several times around
Yes.
and it just smells like amazing.
I know.
So is it the
Get
soil
down
stuff?
low, you guys. What Tom's doing is amazing. You're very intuitive. He's taking a smell, even through the mask.
Yeah,
Just have your nose.
up, yeah.
Take a smell down here. Feel how amazing. Come in here.
So it's different, the change.
And then
between the
if you guys will come this way. Go ahead, Brianna. This is what I want to show you. Everything grows huge in here. Who has ever seen regular sized goji berries? That's a normal sized goji berry right there, okay? This is what we get. Everything in here grows so much bigger. This has protein, lycopene, minerals, vitamins. This berry is a super berry, but the sea buckthorn berry you're going to see up above, the real berries that didn't get transplanted, loaded with berries. And they are so nutrient dense of ingredients we need for our health. And so they're more valuable than your little tomatoes. You can see Ryan over here. I have some tomato plants growing in the shade. You'll see them on the left right there. You've got all these other plants that can grow in here and they're happy. And we've got our cover crop right here of flax because I'm trying to hold moisture in for these guys. This is only a couple days old. Look how fast your cover crop grows. It's really amazing, you guys. And here's another Nan King cherry that I had loads of cherries on this guy. And he loves growing underneath the canopy of the apricot tree. Eventually we'll have an ash tree as our top canopy of the forest, but this is only 6 years old. In the tropics, you can grow in about 6 to 7 years the full climax size of your forest, because they grow food all year long because they're tropical. We go to sleep. These are all deciduous shrubs and trees, so they go to sleep in the winter. They come back in the spring, and their growth is just in the summertime. So ours is going to take, I think, at least 12 to 15 years. Then I can walk away, no more water needed, just what falls out of the sky, and this food forest will take care of itself. All these come back. What I didn't show you on the other side is I have a berry syrup that I made this year. They're called Josta Berries. See those dark berries? They're the currant and gooseberry mix. This whole bush back here behind the goji is a Josta berry. And they were so sweet and delicious this year. And the syrup, I thought my elderberry syrup was amazing.
Yeah.
This one was even more amazing. Isn't it beautiful? And see how the goji berries growing in there, and you got tomatoes in there, you got mints in there. Everything's growing together happily. Nobody competes. Everybody's getting along. The insects don't compete. Everybody's happy. And then you grow this beautiful, wonderful food that you have here. And you can see it, let it just go crazy all through here. And then they send runners out, so I'm getting others all around here. I'm getting more of the berry bushes. So past the Nan King Cherry, we'll keep going this way. But see this microclimate I've created in here, how wonderful it feels? And I can still grow tomatoes. Look in here. You can see tomatoes, okay? There's little tomatoes right there. See that, Ryan? We can grow everything in here. They just don't ripen the same time as fast as they do in a hot field of sun. Here we have patches of golden raspberries in here. We'll have our second batch. The old batch dies off like this, and then we get the new batch that will ripen there. Under you right here, be gentle because they break easily. These are hazelnut bushes. We had our first hazelnuts last year. It was really exciting.